Mic'd up with Jake and Fulton, coming to you on a Friday, an absolutely beautiful Friday afternoon. Jacob on Fultoncaster with you. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. Tacos, queso will be ingested at some point in time this evening. Maybe even a margarita. Maybe, Fulton, after the show, we'll go and we'll get your favorite drink. We'll get some tequila.
Yeah, I can't do that. I'm sorry.
Well, we can't right now, but
well,
we will
no,
after the
I
show.
can't do it after the show.
Why not? What do you got going on?
MIAA championship baseball tournament begins tonight. Washburn takes on Northeastern coming up at 5 o'clock. And if you are subscribed to the MIAA network, you can hear me do play of the game tonight at 5.
That'd make it even better.
No, it won't.
It would make it even
I think
better.
we both know a couple of people employed by the University of Washburn University who would not appreciate me being a margarita or two deep for the broadcast.
Nah, they're all right. It's on the internet.
I mean, yes, it's on the internet, so therefore I'm allowed to do a few different things.
I'm going to go make a phone call.
I don't think they'd appreciate it.
I'm going to make a phone call. I'm going to talk to some
Listen,
of them
if you can get the folks in charge to say I can be a margarita or two deep, we can get some margaritas after the show.
All right, there we go. So we got a lot to get to. We're going to talk about this Royals baseball team and some of the decisions that were made. We're going to talk about Hunter Dickinson going to the Kansas Jayhawks. The Chiefs added another offensive lineman. That's interesting. We will get to that. We're going to talk about baseball and entertainment a little bit as well today. So a lot to get to on this edition of Mic'd Up. Let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429 outside of Topeka. 785-272-9429. Love to get your thoughts. Also, let us know on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line. Give us a shout. Follow us on YouTube. Very easy to get to. Go Sports on 580 at youtube.com. Check out our website, 580wibw.com. We're going to talk horse racing, too. The Derby. The Kentucky Derby is tomorrow. I love the Kentucky Derby. Everyone should go to the Kentucky Derby at some point in time in their life. And I'm looking at you, Fulton. I'm looking at Dan, and I'm looking at Brendan, Bradley J, Britt. You need to go to the Derby. It is a blast.
Go down there, have a mint julep.
Yes, have a couple mint juleps. It's fantastic. It was so much fun. So I still remember. Oh, it was awesome. It was terrific. So you need to do it. So we'll talk with Andy Weingarter, our horse racing expert. So excited about that coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. But we start with the Royals. I was at the game yesterday. Took my son and my daughter to their first ever Royals game yesterday. Picked a good one because
that was a banger.
13 to 10. 5 home runs. It was exciting. Lot of action. Longest Royals game of the year, so you're welcome. When I go to a Royals game this year, they play the longest game of the year. So
please never go again. That was, I like my 2.5 hour baseball games.
What's funny is that would have been just the standard game last year.
It would have. Like last year, I would have been like, man, this game's, dragging a tiny bit. But I'm like, it's overall pretty fine. Compared to this year, no, that game was a drag, and I didn't like that.
There are a lot of runs scored in that one. It was funny when we get there. I looked at everybody who we were with, including my in-laws. I said, it could be a high-scoring game today. And they're like, why? I said, well, the Royals pitcher, he'll give up about 5 runs. And of course, in the first inning, 2-run bomb.
Yep.
Second inning,
you're proven
3
right.
runs. And I was, and they looked over at me and they go, you know your baseball, Jake. I said, I know my team.
Yeah.
That is what's happening. But I did have a problem with the Royals yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And it has nothing to do with the loss. They had some issues yesterday because I want them to look towards the future. It is all about development. Wins should not matter anymore. They shouldn't. And the way that I will explain this is you can still try to win. It doesn't matter do it the best way for this Royals franchise.
Mhm.
All right. So yesterday, they need to accept it. They need to accept that development is more important than wins. They are now 8-24.
8-24.
8-24. All right. It ain't happening this year. Okay. Get it through your head. And that starts with John Sherman. John Sherman, if you truly want to do what's best for your baseball team, that is, you need to go to JJ Piccolo and say, JJ, don't worry about wins. Worry about development. Worry about making our baseball team better. Do every single thing that will help out our baseball team for the future. You have a job. I'm not going to get rid of you. In fact, you've got until 2025 before I'll even think about it. So then JJ can go to Matt Cotrero. And anybody who's trying to, light up Cotrero until I know that, hey, JJ Piccolo went to Matt Cotrero and said, hey, Matt, you're good for next year. In fact, you're good for 2024 too. Make the decisions on the diamond that help this team for the future. Matt Cotrero will go, okay. Why did you pinch hit? Not pinch hit. That's an
incorrect term.
Yeah. Why did you switch out Hunter Dozier for Vinny Pasquantino? And don't tell me for defensive purposes, because that is wrong. That is not correct. Because Hunter Dozier in left field is worse defensively than Vinny Pasquantino is at first. There's no way you can change my mind. But let's say that they're even. Okay? Why on earth would you make that switch? And the reason why is because then you take a potential pressure-packed situation for one of our young guys. It just so happened that in the bottom of the ninth inning, with runners on second and third, Hunter Dozier is up. I don't care about Hunter Dozier. It would have been great to see Vinny Pasquantino in a pressure-packed situation. What does he do there? Because it's a lot different hitting a baseball when you're down 8-1 as opposed to you are down by 3
and you represent the tying run
with runners at second and third. There's no reason. And I don't care if you're trying to do the whole, well, it's the 8th inning and we want the defensive lineup in there. If you're going to put in Drew Waters or Kyle Isbell or somebody like that, I'd understand it. Not Hunter Dozier. That makes no sense. None. Nick Prado in left field is better than Hunter Dozier in left field. So the whole, I'm doing it for defensive purposes. If you decided to do this, Kyle Isbell doesn't pop a hammy, probably out for a while. You want to bring in Jackie Bradley Jr.
to play left.
And then put Nick Prado at first. At least I can understand you put the best defensive guys out there. I still wouldn't do that because I don't give a crap about winning anymore. I want my guys to get at bats potentially because, look what happened. It's much like Ned Yost got absolutely destroyed, fricasseed, all of that kind of stuff. When they put Alcides Escobar in the lineup for big time at bats at the end of the game, why didn't you pinch hit for Lesky? And Ned said, look, we're not caring for right now. We don't. We're looking towards the future. I need him to be comfortable in those at-bats. So that's my one problem when it comes to that situation. You're going to try to talk me out of it. There's no point because it's stupid.
I'm not going to try and talk you out of it. Because I don't think you're wrong for being upset about that because I also did not I watched that game here at the office with Dan and Brendan. They'll tell you I completely did not agree with it at all because it was done under the guise of a defensive replacement because to the Royals, Nick Prado and Hunter Dozier are equal in left field, and Nick Prado is a gigantic upgrader of Vinny at first. the Vinny at first thing, that is a correct assessment. Nick Prado versus Vinny Pasquantino defensively at first base is the difference between an average defender and a Gold Glover at first.
No, there's no disagreement there.
That is correct.
Hell, you ready for this? You ready for this? I'd rather put Vinny P in left field than Hunter Dozier.
And that's where my disagreement goes. And my disagreement goes into, I do not think that Hunter Dozier is as good in left field as Nick Prado, because as I've said numerous times in this show, I believe Hunter Dozier is a negative fielder anywhere on the diamond, because he's proven me that.
And it's stupid to even have Hunter Dozier playing in that situation, because he's not part of the future.
Here is what I will say, and this is what I've been trying to get across to everybody, but everything Q does early. He is a first-year manager. He is learning on the fly as much as anyone else. Every decision he makes of trying to do these different strategies are learning moments for him too. It's not, does he make the mistake once? Does he do it multiple times?
But to me, if I am here, just a random Joe can see that it's not part of the future. Dozier's not part of the future.
This isn't about a part of the future thing, though. Because also, you cannot, and I believe this strongly, even in winning baseball teams, you cannot view an eighth inning defensive replacement through the eyes of if his at-bat comes up. Because the concept of it is that at-bat should never come up. And that's why you're doing it. And if it comes up, that is a you are damned if you do situation. Like, the Royals did that because Matt Quatraro had faith, whether it being incorrect faith, he had faith that his bullpen could hold a 9-8 lead. And if they did, this discussion right now would not be happening.
No, it still would have happened.
You would have been mad that Vinny Pasquantino didn't play defensively at first base for 2 innings.
No, I'd have been mad because they moved Hunter Dozier in. I don't care about Hunter Dozier.
But he would have literally just been playing left field for 2 innings.
I don't care.
We are only mad about this because he took it at bat.
I don't care. No,
well,
because
that, Jake, I will tell you, is asinine and stupid.
No, because
that is asinine and stupid.
No,
to be mad about a guy playing left field, you can be mad if he took it at bat. You cannot be mad if he played left field.
Fulton, yes, I can, and I'm going to tell you why. What did I tell you 2 days ago? I told you I don't care about.
I don't give a damn if you don't care about winning or losing anymore.
So
be intelligent with your thought process.
I am being intelligent with my thought process. My thought process is answer this question: is Hunter Dozier part of the future? There's why I don't want him in there. That's my answer. You don't like my answer, and you're getting all upset about my answer. This is the same thing about Aroldis Chapman. I don't want Aroldis Chapman pitching in back-to-back games. And the reason why is he can't do it. And you know that as well.
No, that's correct. I will agree with you on.
So why is he doing it?
Because as of now, Quatraro thought that was the right move to win the game. Because he is still learning like everyone else is.
But if you told me this before the game yesterday.
Yes.
He should not pitch in back-to-back games. Because already through today's up until May the 5th, he cannot do it.
No.
And we've got multiple.
I have a lot of game watching experiences.
So why are you giving him a pass when you know the answer?
Because managing a baseball game is hard.
Is it?
And I will tell you though, as I told you yesterday, and I told it to you this morning.
That is not difficult.
Did not agree with that, and I don't. I do not agree that he used to roll his Chapman back-to-back days. I disagree that would give them the best chance to win. What I would have done is put in Carlos Hernandez. Because of two reasons. He gives you the best. He gives you a young guy learning. And if your idea is I want a guy who throws hard and can get strikeouts, give me the guy that's on a day's rest. When Aroldis Chapman has proved to me he can do back-to-back days.
Why are you giving him a pass then?
Because the Hunter Dozier.
No, listen, hold on a second. If you are well thought out and already can do it, why are you saying, oh, it's okay, Quatraro, no big deal?
He does listen.
Like that's my.
He does not get a pass from me on the Aroldis Chapman thing.
Okay,
I will make that very clear. He does not get a pass. That was a bad move. Any move he needs to wear as a bad decision.
Okay,
I'm not giving him a pass on the Hunter Dozier thing. It's not a pass.
No, we're done with that because you don't agree with. We disagree. Okay, and that's perfectly fine.
He does not get a pass from me on Aroldis Chapman. That was a bad move. So that was not smart.
And that is where I want to see I want them to. They're not viewing it for 2023. This season is over. They have to accept that. I'm not saying give up. It's great. Now we disagree on that as well. I expect my team to keep fighting because if they don't, then no one should ever go to the ballpark. The whole effort thing is embarrassing. If you're like, well, at least they keep fighting. Yeah, I expect them to keep fighting, okay? You know what else? They should keep fighting for their job, because right now, every single one of them needs to keep fighting for their job. So I hate the whole, well, you know what? At least they're fighting. Wow, that's the bar? Just try your best? I expect that. That shouldn't be the bar. That should be, if you don't do that, then there's zero reason that you should be interested in this Royals team. So we disagree on that one again. If Cotrero and JJ Piccolo and John Sherman are truly about development, and that is what matters the most, then you need to do what helps your team the most. And if you are about 2024, same situation. Aroldis Chapman does not help you in back-to-back outings. We know that. He should never pitch again in back-to-back outings, because right now, Aroldis Chapman is there for one specific reason, and one specific reason only from here on out. And that is to pitch terrific when he's out there and put him in the best possible spot when he's out there, so you can trade him for next year. So you get somebody from next year, even if it is a bag of baseballs that are really shiny and bright.
That's better than nothing.
That helps. That is what the Royals need. Once Drew Waters comes up and is healthy, and if Kyle Isbell is healthy at the same time, and you've got your outfielders, which are Melendez, Waters, Isbell, Prado, whoever, then Jackie Bradley Jr. should be cut immediately.
I 100% agree with you on that.
So that's what I want from this Royals baseball team going forward. There was a lot of great stuff in that game yesterday.
A lot of great stuff yesterday.
I don't care about Jordan Lyles. His only job is to try to throw innings, and
he
some
can
people
barely do that.
And some people are like, well, Jake, they can't do anything, or somebody else can throw those innings. Well, right now we don't actually have that.
Yeah, as of right now, there quite literally is not a different answer to that.
Like, you got to have somebody pitch those innings, because I don't want, maybe eventually Austin Cox fills the role for Bubich and Yarbrough, and maybe Daniel Lynch comes in and he can fill the spot for Lyles or whoever. But right now, they don't have somebody there, and I'd rather have somebody wear the 6 innings and just take it on the chin.
If someone's going to be out there to get their arm falling off because they're throwing a billion pitches, I'd rather be Jordan Lyles.
Exactly. So I have no problem with Jordan Lyles out there.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's what's so frustrating to me about yesterday's game. Was there were so many decisions in the game that I go, you're still trying to win. The winning doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't. Now, the best way to win is, hey, all those young guys help you win, and they get the confidence and everything like that. Everyone else doesn't matter. It's that's where I'm going to get frustrated with this team. Not that they win or lose. That's what's frustrating. There's something too. Baseball yesterday, it was entertaining because there's a lot of action.
Yeah, it was
a lot of action. There's also something very entertaining happening at the same time tomorrow, or no, same time tonight. Okay, exact same time, 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock. We're going to discuss that next. Tonight to see the Royals versus A's attendance figure up against
which we trash.
Up against the Savannah Bananas that are in town in Kansas City. My wife found a way to get tickets. They are going for $185 a ticket.
Supply and demand, baby.
That is incredible. But I am interested in seeing, one, her reaction, because she was at the baseball game yesterday versus the Savannah Bananas game.
Oh, it's going to be an infinitely better atmosphere to Savannah Bananas.
And so that is
infinitely better atmosphere.
That's kind of a fun dynamic, what's going on right now in Kansas City. You've got a bad, boring baseball team. And
I will argue that bad baseball teams becoming fun because at least they're scoring.
This is true.
They're still bad. They are still very bad.
Yes.
They are scoring, though.
The pitch clock does speed up the game a lot when you are there. I mean, there's a lot more.
It shows that action's moving.
Yes, the action is moving. But what does it compare? You know, would someone rather go watch the Savannah Bananas if it's there?
Yeah,
over Royals baseball.
I always fascinated by that.
You know, and not so much because it's more like we talked about, like the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball.
It's a little scarcity too.
But let's say it's not. Let's say that's what they do. What would you rather go see? That would be interesting to find out. Coming up next, we're going to talk all things Royals baseball with David Lesky. More Jayhawks as Hunter Dickinson coming to KU. And there is some news happening in the Kansas transfer world today, it looks like. So we will get to that coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. We'll talk all things Kentucky Derby with our guy, Andy Weingarten. Going to find out who to bet. Which horse are you putting your money on?
See if he thinks the horse I picked for my fantasy football draft will get me a good pick this year.
Who's that?
I have, because the name is so perfect, Raise Kane. His pick for me was entirely because his name's Raise Kane.
All right.
Because for some reason, we've now decided for every year it's going to be the Derbies how we do our drafts. We did it last year and we all really liked it.
Right.
So I think this is our new move.
All righty.
Which is a really fun and creative way to set a draft order.
There we go. You know what? That's the first thing I am going to ask our guest currently on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line. He is David Lesky. You can follow him on Twitter at DB Lesky. Inside the Crown, fantastic newsletter. Very simple, very easy. Go to Inside the Crown. Just Google it. It'll pop up. Click on it. Subscribe. It's fantastic intel and insight in Royals baseball. Dave, first question I've got for you. Are you a Kentucky Derby guy? Will you watch it every year?
I mean, if I'm home in front of the TV, I'll watch it. I don't set out my day for it.
You need to go to the Kentucky Derby.
I think it would be incredible to go. That would be awesome. If somebody gave me tickets, I would do it in a heartbeat. Are you offering me tickets? Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Well, I can tell you can get tickets. They're really easy to get tickets.
No, I know. No. Yeah, it's it would be a really cool experience.
It is. It's awesome.
I was dabbling in some research in case I decided to make a friendly wager. So I'll have an eye on it at least.
Well, we know you got an eye on the Kansas City Royals, and
begrudgingly.
But yes. I am no longer. I've come to the point where I don't care about wins and losses anymore. Doesn't matter. I want them to do anything and everything for the development of the future. Yeah. When do you think that day will come for this Royals season?
That they care about wins and losses, or they're doing everything for development?
Well, to me, there's two different things. If you care about wins and losses, I don't know if you're really doing everything you can for development. But if you're doing development, and you can still do development and try to win. You can't try to win and do development, because I don't think that's possible. So when do you think that this team will fully embrace that?
3 days ago. When they brought up Michael Garcia and they already had Nick Pratto back up and they stopped playing, well, it's been 3 games, so we'll see. But Hunter Dozier hasn't been in a lineup since Sunday. Jackie Bradley Jr. hasn't been in a lineup since Sunday. They both have played because, well, Dozier wouldn't have been in yesterday if Isbell didn't get hurt. That would have been Jackie Bradley in left field and would have been a different story. Jackie Bradley's come in for defense, and if that's his role, that's fine. I'm okay with that roster spot, honestly. But when they brought Garcia up, and Dozier and Bradley weren't playing, and Pratto was playing, that was it. If you look at the lineup, look at yesterday, it was a bunch of young guys. Freddie Fermin's not really young, but inexperienced, and Salvador Perez. Every single day, that's what it should be. I'm okay if they give a guy a day off and Jackie Bradley plays or whatever, but it's got to be young guys. It's got to be a lot of what we saw at the end of last year. And I'm okay too if Michael Massey's been better. So he may not be the best example right now. He's looked a lot better over the last few days. But if they say, hey, Massey's struggling, we're going to bring up Samad Taylor. Okay, that's another young guy. That's fine. It's no big deal. I think that they have gotten there already. Now, where I think you'll probably argue, where you're thinking maybe they're not there, is the pitching staff, and that's absolutely true. But also, I don't know who else they
got no other options.
They have no other options,
yeah.
and I think by having Jordan Lyles pitch every 5th day, by having right now Ryan Yarbrough pitch every 5th day, that is an eye on development because it's keeping somebody who they might actually think has a future from bombing in the big leagues and keeping them in the minors. So I think they're there. I think they have reached that point. I think they were truthfully almost there on opening day. Obviously, some of the roster moves said, hey, we're trying something different. And I don't have a problem necessarily. I mean, the Dozier thing was the only one that you go, we know how this is going to end in all likelihood. So why? But also that they've got money owed to him, and teams don't walk away from that this early very often. The Diamondbacks cutting Madison Bumgarner, I would wager, has more to do with the person than the player, even though the player was struggling. And I think that it's just really uncommon to walk away from somebody with more than a year and a half. I think Pablo Sandoval maybe did. They did. The Red Sox did with him. It just doesn't happen very often. But I will also say, I think when Nicky Lopez comes back, I think as long as Michael Garcia is playing well and doesn't seem overmatched, I think that might be the end of Dozier. So long answer to a short question. I think they're there.
You got to play Garcia every day. I mean, gosh, the guy is lava hot right now, plays great defense. I hate to be the bearer of bad news for Nicky Lopez, but Michael Garcia took your spot because you got an appendicitis, my man.
Well, but no, I don't think he took Lopez. I think he took Dozier's spot. It's just Dozier's holding it for Lopez right now.
But don't you think that Garcia should start though at third almost 6 out of every 7 days? So I think like playing time wise, he definitely did.
Oh yeah. Lopez is going to play less when he comes back. Again, assuming that Garcia continues to look.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to hit 417, but assuming he doesn't look overmatched. Like I think about the way Michael Massey looked earlier this year. He looked overmatched. Nate Eaton looked overmatched and got sent down. He's coming back up today, it looks like. But as long as Garcia looks like he belongs in the big leagues, which I think he will, because I think he was about ready to start the year. I don't have a problem with them sending him down when they did, but I think he was about ready. Nicky Lopez is going to go to the role he should be in, which is utility infielder, and I'm okay with that. I think that's a really good role for him because he plays good defense at 3 positions. He also provides a left-handed bat. If you're facing, I'm blanking on a name right now, Garrett Cole,
mm-hmm.
and you go, I want to give Bobby Witt a day off or Michael Garcia a day off against this guy because it's just a tough matchup and he needs a day off, whatever. Throw Nicky Lopez in there. That's fine. I think that's a really good spot for him. So, yeah, I think it makes sense. I think you can win a championship with Nicky Lopez on your team. Also, just not in the role he was with for the Royals. He's not good enough for that, and guys are sliding in where they should be now. It's looking more like a team rather than just a collection of players.
We're talking with David Lesky here on Mic'd Up on our Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line. You can follow Dave on Twitter at DBLesky. All right. This was the second time in, less than 2 weeks that they've pitched Aroldis Chapman on back-to-back days. Cotrero can't do that again, can he?
I don't want to say can't, because it's also only 2 times. But you got to keep an eye on it. I think that's one of those things. Look, Josh Domont was somebody. Remember a couple of years ago, he can't pitch on back-to-back days, and then he was fine. He figured it out. I think that I think you have to be wary of it, and I think maybe the next time you do it is, okay, he pitched in a 3-2 game in the A's and was good, and now it's 9-2, 9-3, one way or another. I think we all know which way it will probably be in that instance, but it could go the other way, and we're going to see what he does. I don't think you stop that after 2 bad outings. The first one he did on back-to-back days was fine. So, no, 1 out of 3 is not good for a pitcher in what we're talking about. But I don't think I think you have a difficult time just saying this guy cannot pitch on back-to-back days no matter what this quickly. That said, they have Amir Garrett, who he struggled yesterday too. I mean, that was a bad last couple innings. I have a theory on Garrett. I don't think he should pitch a second inning. I think that he is so amped up and so energetic on the mound that coming off the mound and sitting while the offense bats just completely destroys him. I don't think he should ever come back for a second inning, even if he threw 1 batter in the inning before. That's another story. But I think you've got enough guys that if you want that lefty, you've got Josh Taylor, you've got Amir Garrett. It's okay to not use Chapman, but I also don't think they can completely just abandon the idea of him on back-to-back days.
The Royals offense, Dave, against the Orioles, and Orioles pitching staff, that their starting rotation wasn't doing, too hot coming into the series, but that bullpen was absolutely looking great to start the year. The Royals offense came to complete life against the Baltimore Orioles, had 3 great offensive games, even though it only registered into 1 win out of the 3 great offensive games. That is a story for the pitching staff on another day. Is it a simple... I've made the joke several times that, look what happens when the Royals play their good young players instead of veterans that can't hit. All of a sudden, the offense works. What have you seen of the offense the past 3 games in that series against Baltimore? Is it just a simple case of the guys to the top are still hitting as well as they have been, but there's actual length to this lineup now, and the bottom part of the order is not just a bunch of, to be blunt, traffic cones?
Yeah, I mean, the 6 through 9 have 16 hits the last 2 games. So I haven't done the math, but I don't know that they had 16 hits all year before these last 2 games. And that's, I want to say that's an exaggeration, and I'm like 99% sure it is, but the fact that there's a 1% that I'm thinking maybe they haven't, that's concerning. It's not what you want, I guess. I'm scrolling right now to look it up because, why wouldn't I? Oh no, I'm way off. They had 97 hits in 30 games and 16 hits in 2. So, if you're looking at what the 6 through 9 have done this season, the last couple games have been really impressive. And that's part of it. I mean, they're swinging and missing a lot less. And I wrote this last week, 2 weeks, I don't know, within the last couple weeks, that the Royals' batted ball metrics have been great, and they continue to be great. And so it's really easy to look at this offense and say they should be better. And they should have, 100%. I think some of this is correction, this regression to the mean. But batted ball metrics are only one thing. If they're not batting the ball enough, then it doesn't really matter how hard you hit it if you never hit it. And they're just making more contact. They're striking out less. They're hitting the ball more. And what's interesting is I was a little bit concerned because I didn't think they were going to be swinging and missing as much as they had. I knew that wasn't going to continue all season long. I think some of it was the pitchers they were facing. Some of it was guys were cold. It was just a really bad confluence of timing. But I thought, okay, when they start to make more contact, is the contact that they make that replaces the swing and miss going to be good contact? So far it is. So that's actually really encouraging. But yeah, I mean, the Royals have 4 guys at the top, and MJ Melendez I include in that, even though he's struggled quite a bit this season. He's been a lot better the last couple of days. They have 4 guys at the top who I think that when they win, they will likely get something from those 4 guys, 3 of the 4 probably. And when they lose, they probably won't because they just didn't have much else. They needed 2 or 3 more bats to step up. And on the road trip, Ever Olivares did. Michael Massey's looked better. Nick Prado is back, and he's looked pretty good. He had a rough day yesterday, but overall has been pretty good since he's been back. Michael Garcia lengthens the lineup. Freddie Fermin was hitting like crazy in Omaha, and he continued that yesterday. So yeah, it's just having more quality hitters. It seems so simple, but that's helped quite a bit.
For Bobby Witt Jr., a big thing in his career has been struggling against fastballs. It's a very strange thing with him. But at least yesterday, one of the biggest things I saw was Grayson Rodriguez threw him a first pitch fastball. Bobby Witt Jr. recognized it and got a hit off of it. What have you seen as this development so far, especially when he's kind of picked it up these last few games? Do you think he's been recognizing fastballs a little better? And do you see that he might be able to start slowly figuring that out to where he can actually make teams pay when they throw him heaters early?
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I think a lot of it with the fastball issues for him have been he seems a little uncomfortable with his hand placement, which is a weird thing to say and gets very technical. So I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I think he's just struggling a little bit, and specifically on fastballs up. I think he's got to figure out where his hands need to go prior to the pitch. But the other thing that I kind of wonder is he going up to the plate thinking I can adjust to the fastball. I'm going to start looking for a breaking ball or off-speed pitch. And big league pitchers, the fastballs are generally so good that you can't do that with a lot of these guys. You've got to go up looking for the fastball and adjust the other way. And I think maybe he's hunting the fastball a little bit more, which has helped quite a bit. I do also think it's interesting. He struggled on the fastball this year, and did last year too, but actually pretty similar. He got a 227 average on fastballs, and that's 2-seam, 4-seam. I think it includes cutters, and all that, and a 400 slugging percentage. But the expected numbers, so that takes into account the batted ball data. The expected numbers, 266 average and 511 slugging percentage. Be a really different story if those were the results that he had, I think. So I think that's at least interesting and at least something worth noting with him. But yeah, I wonder a little bit if he is saying, I'm going to go up and attack the fastball and adjust to the rest rather than the other way around. And that makes all the difference in the world.
The pitching is we've kind of briefly addressed it. There's just nothing else that you can do. It was nice to see Austin Cox come out there, and I maybe wonder if they don't try to put Austin Cox in a spot a little bit later on in the year. Right now, they just don't have
maybe Saturday.
Yeah, they just don't have any pitching depth whatsoever now that Lynch and Bubic are out. So where do you get help? I mean, outside of Austin Cox, what are you looking for the rest of this year? That's kind of the biggest bummer. You can see at least who they are looking at on the offensive side, but on the pitching side, there's really not a lot of help there in AAA outside now of Austin Cox, and he's up. So that's kind of the biggest concern, at least going forward.
Yeah, that's an issue. Obviously, I think that you look at the start of the season, and their starting 5 was going to be Greinke, Lyles, Stinger, Keller, Lynch, with depth of Chris Bubic, Jonathan Heasley, maybe Jackson Coar, and then Ryan Yarbrough. I think in their mind, Ryan Yarbrough was like their 8th or 9th starter coming into spring training, and Heasley was terrible. Coar became a reliever, which I think is a good move, by the way. So at this particular moment, their depth is really bad. If any one of their starting pitchers got hurt right now, I think they'd have to go to, they'd probably bring up Heasley, honestly, which is the way he's pitched in AAA. That's not appealing. But there's a couple things. One, Daniel Lynch is on the way back, so that helps. that does help quite a bit. He threw a rehab game on Tuesday, so that means he's probably going Sunday, I would assume. I don't know if that'll be in Northwest Arkansas like it was on Tuesday, or if it'll be in Omaha. But I would guess he makes. Well, we'll see how it goes, I guess. But I would say one or two more starts after Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So that's close. That helps quite a bit. What I think is really interesting, and this is one of the positives that's kind of gotten buried by the team being 8-24. The minor league pitching below AAA has been actually quite impressive. Anthony Veneziano is a guy who I have heard about from 4 different scouts in the last 2 weeks, saying that he looks like a big leaguer again. He had a really bad year last year. He's repeating AA. So I want to see him get called up or to AAA, not to the majors. I want to see him get called up to AAA just to give him a new challenge, because he looks great. Lefty throwing 96 to 97. I mean, he has a chance to be depth this season. Alec Marsh is on the 40-man. He's looked really good. I think he pitches today. He's coming off a really bad year also. He did get 2 starts in AAA at the end of last season. So I think you got to move him up pretty soon too, just to see what you have and see if there's depth there. And then you've got some other guys who they have a chance to move up behind them. Noah Cameron's been really good in A-ball. David Stanlin, Frank Mozzicato, I think he needs to move up pretty soon. Mason Barnett, who was picked out of Auburn, I want to say last season. I'm going to miss a few guys here, but they have. Lupin Avila in A-ball as well. He's been fantastic. There are some really glowing reports about the way the Royals are working with pitchers now in the minors, and I'm cautiously optimistic, I'll say, because things are just so bad that it's hard to look at it and go, well, they figured that out. Well, okay, we'll see. It's a small sample, but I think the depth issue, it seems like it won't be an issue maybe this season. I don't know how much depth they're going to get close enough to be real big league depth this year, but it feels like maybe this is a very short-term issue in terms of years. But again, we'll see. It's May 5th. Most minor league seasons, I think, started a month ago. AAA started a little over a month ago, but so far the results are good. And I think, like I said, I think the depth issue will resolve relatively soon. I don't know how soon this year.
All right, 2 for the road, real quick. Last 2 questions for you. It is Cinco de Mayo, so salsa or queso?
Yes.
Okay. And summer is approaching. Worst thing about summer is what?
I'm gonna have to say this the right way for the radio. It's the moisture that you feel when you sit anywhere in the Midwest, because it's the swamp. We'll call it the swamp tush.
Okay, there we go. All righty.
For radio purposes, that's the worst part.
I like it. All right, Dave, thank you so much, man. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the baseball.
Thanks, guys.
That is Dave Lesky of Inside the Crown. Follow him on Twitter at DB Lesky on our Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line. Coming up, we'll talk little KU hoops. to on this Friday. It sounds like it's going to be a fantastic weekend. A little rainy this morning, but much better this afternoon. Thank you so much for stopping by. We do have Royals baseball up against the A's of Oakland. That is right. The A's and the Royals, the two worst teams in Major League Baseball, squaring off tonight, Saturday and Sunday. The Royals have a 2-game lead on the A's for the worst record in Major League Baseball. Brad Keller going up against Kyle Muller.
Should be fun.
7:10 first pitch, 6:30 pregame coverage. We are going to we're going to talk a little bit more about the Chiefs. We're going to get into some Kentucky Derby talk coming up to start the 2 o'clock hour. As always, let us know your thoughts on our Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line, as well as our text line, 785-272-9429. Everyone loves the list. We are inching closer towards summer. Worst things about summer. What are they? If I change it to Fulton, you can't include the weather. How many does that eliminate for you?
I think it eliminates just one.
Just one?
I think.
Okay.
Well, no, two. There's another one that's technically weather. That's technically, it's outdoors. It's technically weather. I don't know what we'd define it as. Maybe two. When we get to the list, you can let me know if that would have counted as weather.
Okay.
But there's for sure 100%, and I bet you know what it is.
Yes.
Is one.
If you get rid of that will not be on my list.
It's 100% on my list, and I have certain spots where it might be.
Yeah. So we will get to that coming up. We'll talk about Donovan Smith joining the Chiefs as well this hour here on Mic'd Up. Big news yesterday. It finally happened. The number one transfer in the transfer portal has transferred to Kansas. That is right. He is going to play for the Jayhawks. That is Hunter Dickinson, the 7-foot. I don't want to say he's a stretch 5. He can shoot the 3. It's not like he's a dominant 3 or 3-point shooter. He can shoot it. But this is the number one transfer in the transfer portal. And you can argue, and Fulton, you might know this better than me, but I think this might be the biggest transfer that KU has ever gotten, at least in the transfer portal. This is a bigger get player-wise, figuratively, is literally and figuratively, because he is big.
He's 7'1".
But it's arguably the best player, averaging 19 points, 9 rebounds, but also at the time, the most important transfer because they needed another dude. You got Remy Martin, but you still had a really good team with Remy. And Remy then came off the bench. Kevin McCullough, really good player.
Yeah.
But you didn't need Kevin McCullough. You know, there have been some other transfers that comes to KU that have played very, very well. They needed Hunter Dickinson. You had to have another bucket getter. Because last year, they had bucket getters. Brady Dick was a bucket getter. Jalen Wilson was a bucket getter. You had guys who could, Kevin McCullough, I wouldn't necessarily say was a bucket getter, but he was a better player than just a random guy, okay?
Yeah.
So they needed a bucket getter, and they got their bucket getter in Hunter Dickinson. He is the best transfer that they have gotten here in the last 5 years, and you can argue the entire Bill Self career. As of right now, before some news, and we're going to get to it, your starting lineup to me looks like this. Dwan Harris at the point, not a surprise. Then I think your guards are going to be incoming freshman Elmarco Jackson
Mhm.
And then one of the other transfers, Nick Timberlake, the transfer from Towson, can shoot it, can play. Then your power forward will be KJ Adams. And then your center will be Hunter Dickinson. That's just on paper. Now, KJ Adams is in an interesting spot.
It's fascinating, really.
Because the reason why KJ Adams did so well at the 5, I think because he was so much quicker and more explosive than the bigger guys.
Mhm.
He has gotten a lot better since his freshman year, and he will have to improve his shooting, to me, if he wants to continue to see the amount of minutes that he wants. Because Hunter Dickinson, the biggest guy on the opposing team, is going to guard Hunter Dickinson. The reason why is he's 7'1".
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Probably more like 7 foot, probably not 7'1".
Yeah. So, large man.
That's going to be the difference is you don't have the bigger guy on KJ. You're going to have a smaller guy who is just maybe as athletic as KJ Adams. If KJ can shoot it, he's got obviously the offseason to improve and all that. That I think will help out, but that is something to watch. The bench, you've got Chris Johnson, 4-star freshman, Jamari McDowell, 4-star freshman. You've got Arterio Morris, the transfer Texas, Ernest Uday. He is still with the Jayhawks. And so you're like, okay, there's some guys off the bench. They are very young, very inexperienced, except for Arterio Morris, the Texas transfer, which is another good get. But now we have learned, and it's not official yet. This is just reports.
Yeah, it's all but official based on some of the guys that have added the reporting.
Zuby Ejiofor is now in the transfer portal. Now, some of you are going, why is he transferring? Well, it's kind of like, why did Kyle Cuff end up transferring yesterday? Well, very simple. They needed a scholarship opening to get Hunter Dickinson. And in the world that we live in right now, these are not 4-year scholarships, folks. They are 1-year scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are going to think that's very unfair. Other people say, hey, that's life. That's how it's set up. So, Kyle Cuff, you are not as good as Hunter Dickinson.
No.
I do think it is a little bit on the bummer side that Cuff thought he was good, but maybe Bill Self was open. We don't know. Maybe Bill Self said to Kyle Cuff, hey, Kyle, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to be honest with you right now. And maybe he said this on January 1st. Maybe he said, Kyle, if we get certain players who we think can fit our system and play and are better, we are going to pull your scholarship. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So what I will say to that, I am almost 100% certain that conversations have happened.
Yeah.
Based on other comments Bill Self had made prior to the transfer announcement being, we're still trying to see what Kyle is doing and what Kyle is up to. Like, I think it has been known for several weeks that Bill Self made it clear to Kyle Cuff, if you want to play, this is not the place for you. That it's not going to happen.
And it kind of sounds like, hey.
And Kyle, I think, just finally made the decision of like.
Well, I don't think he made the decision. I think Hunter Dickinson transferring to KU made the decision.
Well, I will say they had the scholarship open. Even after Dickinson, they still had even one more open. They now have 2 open with Zuby signing transfer.
Oh, I thought they were full.
Nope. They now have 2 open.
So
that Cuff leaving was not a numbers thing. That was you are not going to play basketball here thing.
And I think Cuff probably saw, hey, that's one more guy added to the roster.
Yeah, like adding Dickinson was pushing him even, like he was already low. He just got shoved even lower.
Yeah. So now I do think the reason why Zuby is leaving is the same situation for Kyle Cuff is I don't think he's going to see a whole lot of playing time. As it now looks like, we don't know this yet, but a part of me is like, there's a reason why Zuby is transferring.
You start trying to piece together all the information.
Yeah. So another 5-star freshman is now leaning towards KU, and he is a big man. You want to help me with his name because I'm probably going to butcher
Mackenzie Mbako.
That's how you pronounce it.
That is Mbako.
Mbako.
The G is silent.
Okay. He is another big man.
Yes.
5-star big man. this is not a surprise. This isn't. And I think they're and I also and I know you say it's not numbers related. I still kind of do think it is numbers related because they've got one scholarship left.
Well, for Zuby or Kyle, because those are two different answers.
To me, combined, because if they get Mbako, if he signs, they still have one left.
Yeah.
I think Bill Self is keeping that one scholarship left for a shooter.
Yes, no, 100%.
And that's the reason why I do think that maybe Cuff and maybe Zuby only are in the transfer portal simply for the fact that if Dickinson doesn't commit to KU, if Mbako doesn't commit, then they're still on the team because then they still have that one scholarship left to go after shooting. Now that they only have one scholarship left,
you gotta, I get you.
It becomes a numbers game.
I think it is partly numbers. Zuby is half numbers, half playing time. Because the problem is, like, and Brendan and I have chatted about this off air a little bit. If Mbako commits to KU, he's not committing to be a buried on the bench depth chart rotational big. Like, the problem becomes your big room is Dickinson, KJ, Ernest, at the time Zuby, and then Mbako.
Yeah.
Zuby's number 5 on that list. He would get a minute a game. Like, Zuby leaving is partially numbers, is partially, this is why I think more and more that Mbako might be coming to Kansas, is because there'd be no playing time for Zuby.
And you say playing time. I don't know if Zuby might wanted to stay at KU. He's like,
he might have. There's a chance. No, you're right.
Where he goes,
I don't know what you think.
We don't. And
we don't. We're not in the program.
But I want to make both sides of the option clear here, is that it is not out of the realm of possibility that Bill Self, and I don't know if he told this to him and said, hey, if Hunter Dickinson's coming here, you're not going to play here.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
And
he's better than you.
And it's a bummer.
Same thing with Zuby. Yeah, because Zuby might say, I don't care if I don't play. I just want to play for KU.
Yeah. And Bill might just say the numbers that we need to make work, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
And that
we don't know.
It brutally sucks.
Yeah.
But I like us pointing out both sides of the argument because we don't know what is actually happening.
And that's the one thing.
We're just kind of guessing here.
It's very late in the game right now on May the 5th. And that's where I do feel bad for guys like Zuby and Cuff if they didn't want to transfer and they got forced out this late. That is a negative side of the transfer portal where we always we talk about the positives for the transfer portal. Hey, you get to go play where you want to. Hey, you get to move around. Hey, that's great. That's awesome. You get the power. But there's also a flip side of that where someone who really wanted to play there, well, you're not good. And this is just strictly the Bill Self is there to put the best roster on the court. How you do it depends on whether or not you think that is shady or not shady. This goes to the same way with Jerome Tang and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But for KU, this is a monster get for getting Hunter Dickinson.
That's huge.
He's only going to be here 1 year.
Yeah, no, Hunter Dickinson, I think this might honestly be his last year eligibility.
No, he's got 2 years left.
Oh, yeah, no, he's coming in as a senior, so he has this COVID year.
Yeah. So he has 2 years left. I don't see him playing 2 years.
I'd be surprised.
Yeah. But the Zuby transferring is not a big deal, to be honest with you, because you've got
as long as Ernest stays, KU's fine.
And the reason why I think he will stay, and the reason why, like KJ Adams, none of those guys, like, I don't see those guys being, they're not going to leave to go to the league, okay? They're not going to the pros. So you can say to Ernest, hey, we've got Dickinson, we've got KJ, and you need 4 big.
You do, okay? and Ernest can get a solid role as the 4th big, and more importantly, what you can kind of tell Ernest to be patient is 1, learn more, and 2, the starting center spot's going to be open next season. Ernest Duty, if he hits his potential, would be the starting center next season probably. Like, you can tell that to Ernest and keep him around for that level. So it's a bummer for Zuby to leave. I am legitimately bummed about that, but I get it from all different potential aspects, whatever it ends up being. And yeah, KU now has 2 scholarships open with Zuby gone. One of those, if I had to make a guess right now at 121 on May 5th, is that Mackenzie Mbaka was going to commit to Kansas.
I don't think that's Zuby's going to leave all of a sudden.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't think I do not think I'm going out on any limb by me saying those words. Do not call me the smartest man in the universe if I'm right.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good reading of the tea leaves.
Yeah.
And then I think that last scholarship is a shooter. Is Bill Stubbs going to go find one more high-level shooter?
Correct.
To pair with this team and see what to do. I am fascinated if Mbako does commit, if KJ goes to the bench, which would be fascinating for how good he was last year. But I think based on roster construction, it might be the best decision.
Because then you could play Dickinson as a stretch 4.
Yeah.
And then you got Mbako, because how big is Mbako?
He's only 6'8". So he's not like Mbako would be your 4. Based on his size, but you could do different things with Dickinson. Dickinson's passing ability is incredibly underrated.
I don't know Mbako all that well.
I will also pretend to be the foremost person on Mbako's abilities. I'm not going to pretend I am, because I'm not.
Is he like a big man, or is he more
I'll
like
be brutally honest. I know he's incredibly talented. I have not dug deep into that profile. That actually is a question to be answered by Brendan Rosinski of 580 Sports Talk. Like I will not speak out of my where about things I don't know about. I know he's a very
I'm the reason why I say that is
at 6'8", 210, I have to imagine he's got some stretch scoring abilities.
Okay.
But again, I would have to confer with someone who knows more than me that is Brendan on the subject.
So and the reason I said if he's 6'8", 260, then he's your 5, and Dickinson's your 4 because he can step out and shoot it a little bit.
He was the 42% three-point shooter last year. So, and as I've said to multiple people who are kind of questioning sometimes the fit and how it'll work with different shooters and what have you, I'm going to trust the Hall of Fame head coach to make it all work. Because you can run an offense through Hunter Dickinson at the point. You could run a high post offense with Hunter Dickinson. Or simply, if not, Bill Stuff loves to have a big down low. And if you don't double Hunter Dickinson, he is such a good post scorer. But no, this is a massive get for KU and really, really helps them for next season.
Yeah, if they get both. I mean, well, they got one of them.
If Mbako commits to, oh boy, these Jayhawks are humming.
Yeah, this
just needs some shooting to fill it all out.
How about that? The state of Kansas got the number 1 and the number 2 transfer portal guys.
The Hawks and the Cats are going to be good next year because Tyler Perry is a good get for K-State.
Very good basketball IQ, great shooter. He's not an elite athlete, but he's a hooper.
Yeah,
like he's a bucket getter. That is what Perry does. And same Hunter Dickinson going to KU. That's terrific. If from the text line, his strong point is hitting the 3, good mid-range jumper. Well, if that's the case, if he can shoot it, because it is all about how you get the ball in the hoop now in college.
Shout out to 785 for picking up information that I truly had been going over my head. I appreciate you.
Recruiting.
I'm not a recruiting guy when it comes to the hoops, man.
So I look at this and I say, KJ Adams, people underestimate being a veteran, knowing Bill Self, knowing what's going on. It's very difficult. Like LaMarco Jackson might have to be forced into that situation because they have no other guards. But if you do have KJ Adams, same and with Hunter Dickinson, just to say, oh, KJ's going to the bench, that's a bit presumptuous because it's a different game. Joel Embiid, very first practice he went to, Tariq Black dunked on him so hard that he went into Bill Self's office and said, I don't know if I can do this. Freshmen sometimes take some time, but if you go by what he does well, shoot the 3, mid-range, still the same type of athlete, then that might push KJ to the bench. It could. Coming up next, everyone loves the list, the worst parts of summer. All right, Fulton. Worst things about summer. What do you got?
Number 4 for me, mosquitoes. God, I hate mosquitoes. I hate them. They're one of nature's worst bugs.
Number 4 for me, it is when it rains in the morning and then it gets like 98 degrees.
That muggy heat.
You feel like you have to chew the air. That's the only time that you will hear me complain about the heat.
Number 3 for me is when it gets muggy. I hate that. It's like I'm walking through a sheet. It's a weird, don't sit on the street for a little bit. It's just weird. I don't like it. The air becomes tangible. I don't like that. Ignore the description. Ignore the description.
All righty. Number 3 for me, bugs.
They're terrible. They're horrible.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me is simple. Allergy season. I hate allergy season. I got really bad allergies. The summer doesn't help.
Isn't that the springtime, though?
It goes into the summer, too. It's both.
Are you sure?
I will call it both. It's worse in spring than summer, but it's still both.
All righty. I guess I can do that. Like, sometimes when it gets hot and there's so much trash around, the smell.
Yeah.
That's what sucks.
That heat stank.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 1 for me is very simple. Drastic heat. I hate drastic heat. 90 degrees shouldn't exist. 85 should be our tipping point. I hate when it gets to the 90s. I hate triple digits. Worst part.
Worst for me, it's mosquitoes. Because mosquitoes are not bugs. Those are two different things. Mosquitoes are awful. I hate them. Coming up, we're going to get to Chiefs football. The Kansas City Chiefs made some news yesterday, and this was interesting. So the Kansas City Chiefs, after the draft, have signed Donovan Smith. Donovan Smith was a left tackle for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I still have not yet found the contract numbers of Donovan Smith, and I don't want 1 year, $9 million. I don't want that because the report says up to $9 million. That's not $9 million. It could be $1 million with incentives up to $9 million. I need to know what the cap hit is and the dead cap is for this upcoming year. And, what are his bonuses? Like, you need the details. I need the guts. Because if you just signed a left tackle for $9 million straight up, then I've got a whole nother set of questions that I'm interested in. So Donovan Smith is a hit or miss type of guy. Some people think he sucks. Some people say, well, it's because of injury. He was hurt last year with an elbow injury. Has had some foot issues as well. But why did you sign Donovan Smith? Is that simply a depth move? Is that we don't know if Jawaan Taylor can play left tackle? Is that we think Lucas Niang is not that guy? Because then you could play Donovan Smith at left tackle and then Jawaan Taylor at right tackle, and Lucas Niang then goes to the bench. I've got a lot of questions on why they decided to sign Donovan Smith, because right now, for me, I look at Donovan Smith as a backup left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Is this also, maybe they don't think Jawaan Taylor can play left tackle, which I don't think that's the case, because Brett Veach was asked in his press conference about that, and they say we view Jawaan Taylor as our left tackle.
So with this signing, I've generated a thought, and I will give credit to this thought to Dan Lucero, because the thought I got from him, and I think it is the correct way to view all this. The Chiefs know they need 5. They need to put together 5 linemen to keep 15 upright. Whatever that 5 is, they need to make sure there's always 5. Donovan Smith might start the year at left tackle, and Jawaan Taylor's your right tackle. That might be what they do. They might put Jawaan at left tackle, and for some reason, Donovan Smith becomes the right tackle. That might be what they do. Though I really doubt that is what happens. This is partly this is insurance, is what this is, in my opinion.
So it's depth.
Essentially, because what I think this is, and this is why I think contract details are important, and it is something we're going to have to wait and see. I would be surprised if there's a guarantee above $2 million in this contract.
And see, that is, I will wait to assess the Donovan Smith signing
until you see what's the guarantees.
Because if it is a very high number, then that tells me they don't have faith in Lucas Niang. Otherwise, there's no reason
I would agree
that you sign a guy to that number.
Yeah.
And it is, we don't believe in Lucas Niang, and this is depth in case Wanya Morris can't go year one. Can't go year one or start year one.
Exactly. And I think that's the right now I would view this as he's either going to start or he has depth. He's one of the two, which is one of the two things he can be. He's going to be on the roster. He's not going to get cut. At least in my opinion.
Well, it depends on how much money is guaranteed.
I know. Because like the Chiefs, I think at this point do really realize that they just need to always have 5 linemen to keep 15 clean. And now what Donovan Smith does is as another member of that room who can keep 15 clean.
Or is this, insurance depth in case Lucas Niang does get? Is this more of an indictment on, Kennard?
It's not. I don't think it's an indictment on anyone. This is what if Taylor can't be left tackle?
Is that your number one?
That's my number one thought. This is what if Jawaan can't be left tackle?
Then we move.
What if we do through all of camp? What if we go through camp? Because through camp, Juwan's going to get a chance to play left tackle. Like, that's not going to change. But what if we go through camp in the preseason and it is not working? Like, him at left is a shell of himself, and it's not working. I mean, that contract's worth it for a star right tackle, which he is. Like, he's a stud on the right side.
They paid him like a left tackle. So
4 years, $80 million is also, like, for a top-tier right tackle, that's fine.
I wonder what is...
Mike McGlinchey's making more as a right tackle.
Well,
and he's worst player.
Well, that's because...
I know, but, like, that's my thing is, though, like, it's not like it's insane what you'd be paying him to play right tackle. And more importantly, I think the Chiefs have realized the old days of you have to have your best guy being on your left side is not true anymore.
Okay, Brian O'Neill makes 19.6 to the cap this year. Braden Smith, a Lathe product,
nice,
19 million. Lane Johnson, 14 million. Juwan Taylor, it's
4 years, 80 million. So it's the AAV is 20, but I don't think it's breaking out to actually be 20.
Looking at his contract, it looks as if I'm trying to pull it up here. And if he is making top three, if he is at right tackle and he's making, the top three
right tackle money,
so like his cap hit next year is 24 million.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a lot for a right tackle.
So, but that's where I go to. I think we need to stop viewing tackles as left is the premium, because NFL defenses have changed. Your star pass rusher is no longer exclusively rushing from the blind side.
I don't disagree with that. The only thing, the reason I say that is, did you overpay? It's more of that of a question, because right now in 2023, this coming year, Jake Matthews' cap hit is 28, Trent Williams is 27, Laramie Tunsil's 26, Ronnie Staley's is 23.5. So next year, Juwan Taylor is going to be in that top 5 money aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On the left side. Yeah. That's where I say, and I agree with you where you got pass rushers on both sides.
Yeah.
It's just the allocation of money. Could you have said, if you didn't think he is going to play left tackle, you could have paid him less. And the reason why you could have paid him less if he was going to be your right tackle is the numbers prove it. You could have paid him less money. So did you overpay is all I'm saying.
I get that. I get the thought process. Where I go to just, for me, for Juwan Taylor in his career in Kansas City, whether that is a right tackle or a left tackle, is Juwan Taylor worth $20 million to me? $20 million a year to me. I don't care what side of the line it is. Is he worth $20 million a year to me? If he is, I don't give a damn what side of that line he plays on. Because that's what the NFL is. And I want to make clear, I'm not saying you're wrong for the thought that if you want him to be exclusively right, maybe you could pay him less, yada, yada, yada. I don't disagree with that for even a half second. But I think we need to view this through the lens of he just needs to be worth a $20 million a year player, and side of the line be damned. But that's where I think the addition of Donovan Smith is just insurance if Taylor cannot play left. Because they think he can. And I think he can. I think looking at his skill sets, he can do it. But if he can't, you're fine.
It all comes down to a lot of this is on what is that cap hit
exactly
number.
What is Donovan Smith's numbers? Because if his is 1.5 guaranteed and that's your dead cap if he got cut, then or you might move on to him after training camp.
If it's $1.5 million, then he is a backup, and you'll pay $1.5 million for a backup on the offensive line. I got no problem with that. And maybe I don't know, is it up to $9 million? That means They did the void years thing.
Yeah, which the Chiefs haven't really done.
No, they have not done that. So that's the reason why I find this interesting, because there's so many, because they've invested so much in the offensive line.
They have.
And
also, we were told all offseason Juwan Taylor's the left tackle. And this is not like we were told this from reporters who maybe were saying agent words. No, Brett Veach himself said the words, we envision Juwan being our left tackle.
It does tell me that they wanted to draft an offensive lineman in the first round. They wanted Anton Harrison.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That was the guy
that the chips didn't fall.
That was the guy that they traded up for, but no one wanted to trade with the Chiefs.
No one did. And price of being the king. No one wants the king to get what he wants.
And that's why, because I'm not saying don't protect Patrick Mahomes. I'm saying you can spend too much money trying to protect Patrick Mahomes. And some people say, Jake, that's ridiculous. As long as he's healthy, you have a chance. And are we talking maybe a couple $1 million here or there? It then goes back to kind of roster construction this offseason. If you didn't think Lucas Niang was going to get this job done, then you needed to be more aggressive trying to fill that role. And some people pointed out, well, they did it after May 1st, so it doesn't go to the
compensatory pick formula.
That does not factor in this because Donovan Smith was cut. Okay, so they could have signed Donovan Smith at any point in time. Was the reason they signed Donovan Smith is because, it just so happened after the draft, they signed Donovan Smith. If they get Anton Harrison, are they signing Donovan Smith? I doubt it, because I think this is a combination of, we don't know if Niang can do it. We don't know if Morris can do it. And if we don't know if Niang and Morris can do it, then maybe Donovan Smith can end up doing it. They've got 3 guys, because they know Juwan Taylor can play right tackle. They know that.
That is a stone cold fact. Yes. If he had to play right tackle, no one's questioned that for half a second.
So
he can do it. He's done it.
I wonder if this is more of a, we don't know if Niang can do it. We don't know if Morris can do it. We don't know if Kennard can do it. Therefore, we are going to have now 4 guys who can take a crack at making this offensive line 5 strong. And Donovan Smith does have some concerns, just like Lucas Niang, just like Wanya Morris, just like, Kennard. So it does make me feel as if they're not sold on the 3 guys that they've already got on the roster. Otherwise, why do you bring because if you're sold on Niang, then perfect. Then you've got Morris as your backup. Or if you're sold on Morris and Kennard, if you're sold on Morris and Kennard and you're like, hey, those 2 guys can fill in, Niang can fill in for Taylor, that's not a problem at left side if something happens, that type. So it does make me feel like they're not as confident in those guys.
That's why, again, my thing this signifies more than anything is it is Taylor insurance. I do not think this speaks to their confidence level in Lucas Niang or Wanya Morris. This to me speaks to, we don't know for sure because we have not seen it. Can Juwan Taylor play left tackle? Because I can't guarantee this because I'm not Brett Veach. I'm not in that room. I don't know what they're talking about. I have to believe if Juwan Taylor, they knew stone cold, without a shadow of a doubt, he can do it, play left tackle, that they would have signed Donovan Smith. Because I think they would have been like Niang or Kennard or Morris. One of those guys can hold something down at right tackle. But I think because they can't guarantee that Taylor can make the switch, you can think all you want, you can project all you want, we could all think all we want. Until we see through the course of training camp and OTAs and mini camp and blah, 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 blah. Until we see through all that Taylor can be a left tackle, there's a chance that that's a big old hole. And let me tell you, if Taylor ain't over there, they don't have a left tackle. So that's where I think the Donovan Smith signing is so important, is now if Taylor can't do it, I'm good, brother.
And maybe
Donovan Smith will be as good as Orlando Brown Jr. on the left side. as good.
And that's another reason why you don't pay Orlando Brown Jr. that money.
Exactly.
Yeah. See?
Brother, I came around to you as time went on. I came to your side. I got you.
And maybe it's just as simple as this. Hey, there's a guy, and I need to know the number. And if it's voided years, fine. What's the number this year? Because they don't have a lot of cap space right now due to the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's what's also fascinating. The fact that the Chiefs have announced the move. Like, the Chiefs' official Twitter said, we officially welcome Donovan Smith.
And so he's got
that fascinates me.
There's $3.7 million under the cap. That means your cap, and maybe there's the void years and everything that's where essentially you
get creative.
You get kick the can down the road.
Yeah.
And it's just a $1 million cap hit this year, but you've got 4 or 5, and maybe it's just depth. Hey, guess what? We talked about the roster situation not yesterday, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
There's your offensive lineman that they just signed.
Yeah.
So now they've got one open spot on offense, either a wide receiver or a running back. And then on defense, they've got one open spot. Or no, two open spots. Because they're either going to sign a defensive tackle, defensive end, or a linebacker.
Yeah.
So they've got now just 3 open spots this entire roster that are taken now that they added one offensive lineman. If I remember just off the top of my head.
I believe so.
Let me pull up the roster construction here. So, yeah, one offensive lineman. Yes. So they had 4 spots available. Now you got 3. You got either a running back, tight end, wide receiver, a D lineman, or a linebacker. That's it. You've got 3 spots left because now their offensive line is fully set. It is those 9 guys. Sorry, Prince Tega Winogo. You're either on the practice squad or you're going to be playing for somebody else.
Yeah.
There's their 9. And Taylor, Tooney, Creed, Trey Smith, Niang, Allegretti, Morris, Kennard, and now Donovan Smith. That's your 9. And then throw in the 5 wide receivers, or 6 wide receivers because they're keeping Rice. And I think they're keeping Tony Moore, MVS Watson, and James. So they got there's one spot on offense open right now for the Chiefs going into next year. I mean, it's a little bit of run it back territory.
It really is, which, I mean, running back a Super Bowl champion yet again. I mean, got them back to the Super Bowl last time.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, maybe they would have been a more fun result had the entire offensive line not collapsed. Running it back worked out really well the last time they did it.
Except for everyone got hurt on the offensive
line. Yeah. So let's just, hope that part doesn't happen again.
Correct. So that is the latest news when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. Ooh, Ish Massoud has announced that he is going to be playing basketball for the Georgetown Hoyas.
Good for Ish.
So
let's go play back east.
Massoud going to Georgetown. Who's the new head coach of Georgetown?
I could not tell. Is it Ed Cooley?
Ed Cooley, that's right. Because
it's the cooler.
Patrick Ewing got canned. Coming up next, we're going to talk little equine, little horse coming up next. Mic'd up with Jake and Fulton on this Friday, the final hour for this week. Thank you so much for joining us and tagging along. We will get to our mulligan of the week. It is on second thought coming up in just a little bit. We'll talk some Royals baseball. They are in action tonight. We're going to talk how many people will actually show up to watch the two worst teams in baseball duke it out over the weekend at the K. We'll get to some do's and don'ts when it comes to what Matt Cotrero needs to do. All of that coming up on this hour, the final hour of Mic'd Up. As always, let us know your thoughts. Give us your take as Hunter Dickinson committing to Kansas. Big news there. Also, Kyle Cuffin, it looks like Zuby Ejiofor is going to be transferring. A lot of news happening on this Friday. Hit us up on our Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line. 785-272-9429. Let us know your thoughts. Our text line always available, 785-272-9429. But it is the first Friday before the first Saturday of May. That's normally how those things work. And the first Saturday of May is a fun one because we have got the running of the roses, the most exciting 2 minutes in all of sports, the 149th edition of the Kentucky Derby coming from Louisville and Churchill Downs. And we bring in the expert. He is Andy Weingarten, who is our horse racing aficionado. Andy, my friend, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just great. It's Derby time in the Bluegrass, and we're just having a ball.
Man, there's a lot been going on right now in the Derby. A lot of scratches, a lot of things happening. Can you kind of summarize what all has gone down here in the last 48 hours?
Yeah, there were, I believe, 3, if not 4 scratches, and in fact, one of the scratches is the horse that I originally picked to win the Derby. You know, I'm not one to just go along with the favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I always pick the Derby first, second, and third with the idea that if you take my bets and you win, you can retire on it. So we might as well, if we're going to do this, let's do it well. I mean, look what happened last year. Not that I picked them, but, Rich Strike, the longest shot in the field, comes out of nowhere and wins the thing. So anything can happen. But I really liked Practical Move, the 10-horse, but he was scratched because of a bit of a fever yesterday. And the 9-horse Skinner was also scratched, as was Lord Miles and Continuar. So 4 of them have been scratched. 3 of them have come, or 3 new ones have come in to replace them, none of which I think have any chance. Although, like I said, last year, Rich Strike was one of the last entries in, or the last entry in, and he won it.
Yeah, people forget, and that's just part of the Derby because it's kind of a once a year thing. But people forget that Rich Strike wasn't even on the Derby t-shirt. Like the winner of the Derby last year, when you went there, if you bought the t-shirt that has all the horses and all of the post spots, he wasn't on it. That's what made last year just amazing and awesome in and of itself, which is why everyone should be paying attention to the Kentucky Derby. All right, so this year, is there a favorite? Is there somebody that you go, wow, there's no way that this guy doesn't finish at least win, place, or show? How do the favorites look?
I don't think so. The one horse that everybody talked about coming into the week was Forte, and he came in as the betting favorite. I've just checked the updated odds. He's still the betting favorite, but just barely at 9-2. But people have a lot of concerns about him because apparently when he was out jogging yesterday, there was a slight misstep. Now, apparently he's not injured. If he was injured, they'd scratch him. But they saw that misstep, and a lot of people now have questions. I didn't really think he was the best horse in the field to begin with, so I don't even have him in my top 3 with this misstep that happened yesterday. And I really have no reason to put him in the top 3. We'll just see how he runs.
When you say that, this is fun to get you on here. A simple misstep, and all of a sudden people are like, oh my goodness, it's completely I've completely changed my tune on this. What is technically a misstep? What does that mean?
Well, in this case, it was almost, think about it, if you're walking and you almost roll your ankle. You don't roll it, but you almost do. It's something I do all the time. It's just kind of your ankle turns, but not enough to injure it. You catch yourself before you fall. It was really, that's all it was. I mean, there was no injury. They checked him out, right after it happened. And they say he's fine, but you know what? When you have a 20-horse field, people don't look for a reason why you can win the Derby. They look at reasons why you can't. You can actually find it with every one of the horses just because it's a 20-horse field. So it's just another little bit of news that the handicappers look at and just something to talk about.
Is this one of the more open? You've been to the Derby. I don't know how many times. You've probably watched the last 30 Derbies. So it is
more than that.
Yeah. Is this one of the most wide open ones that you can remember? I mean, there's not, a Big Brown or an American Pharaoh or somebody that everybody just is in love with. Is there something, that this is as wide open as you've seen?
It would be up there. I'm not sure it's the most wide open. I mean, the last year was, as it turns out, was pretty wide open when a 60-1 shot wins it. And there have been a few others like that. I'm not going to that depth where I'm going to find a long shot that I think is going to win it. But what makes this one, I think, wide open is there's not much speed at the beginning of the race. A lot of times, and you can look at some Triple Crown winners, Justify is the one that comes to mind. He just won the thing, wire to wire. He got out in front, had a nice pace, nobody could catch him. There's not a horse that people are looking at that are saying this one's going to go out to the front. Most of the horses are either stalkers or closers. And if you have a closer, somebody that comes from well off the pace, like Rich Strike did last year, to come in and win the Derby, you got 10 or 12 of them to choose from. Which one do you actually choose? I think from that perspective, it is wide open.
What's the difference between a stalker and a closer? And boy, I'm really glad the Derby exists, because if I asked that question and it didn't, I might be in trouble when it comes to that. What's the difference between a stalker and a closer?
Well, basically, a stalker is one that is going to try to get near the lead. They don't want to go right to the front, but they want to be, within range is kind of what they call it. A closer could be a horse, and take Rich Strike from last year. The announcer didn't even mention the horse until the last eighth of a mile because he spent most of the race in last place. It is a situation. If you have a classic closer, they can come from 20, even 30 lengths off the pace on the backstretch, and just they kind of appear in the middle of nowhere all of a sudden, and they win the race. This one in particular, and there was another one, if you remember, a number of years ago when Mind That Bird won the race. These two were identical. They not only came from last place, but they came from the rail and moved up, which is really hard to do. Usually whoever's leading will get close enough to the rail where you can't come in on their inside, so you have to swing wide, and it makes it harder to do. Last year, that was an exception. He was able to come right up the rail and win it.
We're talking with Andy Weingarter, our horse racing expert, on our Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line. The Kentucky Derby coming up tomorrow at Churchill Downs. I have to ask this, and you're probably the best one to ask. What's the weather supposed to be like, and how is that going to affect? Are we going to find any mutters in this group?
No, absolutely. I think the weather is going to be absolutely perfect. It's been an ideal today. It's sunny and 75 right now, which if I remember hearing right, is about where you are. In Topeka, and it's supposed to be in the mid to upper 70s tomorrow. More cloud cover. They're talking about a few sprinkles in the morning, but nothing that'll affect the track. It'll be a fast track, this one. This should be a speed. I think this is going to be one of the faster Derby times. I don't know if we can get a Secretariat and go under 2 minutes, but I think we're going to have a fast track and a fast time for whoever wins this race.
I have to ask, the Kentucky Oaks is coming up here in about a couple hours. Is there who was the horse who ran the Kentucky Oaks that won, and then she ended up winning the Preakness? Who was that?
That was, I believe you're thinking of Rachel Alexander.
Yes. Do you think, real quick, if she would have ran the Derby, she would have won?
I think she had a real chance. Yes. She was a great horse. I think she would have had a legitimate chance to win that race. They just chose, they chose kind of the sure thing with the Oaks that year, and then when she won it so easily, they said, let's go against the guys in the Preakness and make the money.
That would have been so cool if Rachel, I do remember that, and this is why we have you on, because you're like an encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to horse racing.
Well, I got lucky on that one. You'll be able to catch me on something, but I got lucky on that one.
You bring up Secretariat. It's the 50-year anniversary of Secretariat, correct? I believe.
Yeah, I believe it is.
Right? 73, right?
Sorry, 1973. That's right.
How is it that in every other sport, you've got, it just seems like everything has just gotten bigger, faster, stronger, better.
Mm-hmm.
But horses hasn't. Like Secretariat, and every now and then, like I saw that this morning, and I saw Secretariat, still the fastest time at the Derby, still the fastest time at the Preakness, still the fastest time at the Belmont, and that was 1973. And mm-hmm. Horses have not gotten faster than him. Big Red still the best. Is that a surprise?
I think it's a big surprise. Now, if you're a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not, but some people are, there are some people that just say that the stopwatches that year were just too fast, that he really didn't run a 1:59 and 2/5 Derby. Because if you remember, and a lot of people don't, it was 50 years ago, he didn't win the Derby by a huge amount. He was a comfortable win. It was 2 or 3 lengths. But if he was at 1:59 and 2/5, the second place horse was just barely over 2 minutes. And you don't even see that anymore. So I think a lot of people believe that maybe the stopwatch wasn't accurate. Of course, the Belmont's a different story because he won that thing by about a half a mile. And to be 4 or 5 seconds faster when he was out by that much, that one may have been the more legitimate one. But that's what a lot of people think. As for why you're not getting it now, I think part of it is the horses are bred for speed, and they're just running them. They're running them too fast too early.
Okay.
And so they don't have the kick at the last quarter mile in a race like this that they used to have.
You've now given me homework, Andy, and I appreciate that, because I'm going to go find somewhere on the World Wide Web in cyberspace the Kentucky Derby of 1973. I'm going to take my stopwatch on my phone. I'm going to watch the whole thing, and I'm going to stopwatch it myself because I am interested in that. I do think that is kind of cool that this is the 50th anniversary of Big Red. No, I was not around for it, but I can watch it on YouTube, and I can't imagine watching that at the time. All right, Andy, let's get to our picks. Who do you got going with third? Who is showing in this year's Kentucky Derby? Who do you got?
Well, for the show horse, I had to go with the only horse that has the name Show in it. So how about the one horse Hit Show, which is a long shot. Right now it's 34-1. I think he's that long of an odd because he's from the one position, but because he's a closer, starting from the one position and having to hold back is not an issue to me. I think he would, if he had been in the middle of the track, he'd be a much lower price. I think he'll be flying at the end, but he may have a little too much to overcome. So I'm going to put him third, number one, Hit Show.
Hit Show, 30-1. Fulton, write this down, man. This is it. This is your retirement chance right here.
This is my
Fulton,
retirement fund right
That's
here.
right.
All right.
That's right.
All righty. Who's placing? Who's coming in second?
I had a real hard time with this one, but at the end of the day, I think this might be the best horse in the field, and nobody knows about it because he ran overseas. He's a Japanese horse and ran in the that UAE multi-million-dollar race. The 17 horse Derma, I think it's Sotogaki. I tried to find out what the actual pronunciation is. I haven't found it yet, but I'll go with that. Derma Sotogaki. A Japanese horse has never won the Kentucky Derby.
Really?
But it's due. But they're due. I mean, these horses have run really well internationally. They just never won this one. I think he's going to be right up there at the top, and I'm going to go with Derma Sotogaki at 8-1 right now.
Nice.
As the second horse.
All righty. Who joins the likes of American Pharoah, Big Brown, Secretariat, Seattle Slew, Affirmed, Mind That Bird, and Rich Strike? Who wins the 149th Kentucky Derby so I can write it down?
Well, I bet most people are thinking now, well, he's going to go with either Forte or Tappet Trice because they're the two co-favorites right now at 9-2. I'm not going with either one of them. I think they'll be up there for a while, but I think the closers will catch both of them and they'll fall further back. I like the 14 horse Angel of Empire, who probably is going to end up either the second or third choice among the bettors. It's at 5-1 right now. Ran a classic closer who ran a great race in the Arkansas Derby. Arkansas Derby horses tend to do really well at this one, and I like his style, and I like who he's run against. So I'm going with 14, Angel of Empire, to win the Kentucky Derby.
Is he a closer or is he a stalker?
Very much a closer.
Okay.
The last two, the first and third place horses I'm picking are both closers. The second place is a little bit more of a stalker. Maybe up there, towards after the 3/4 mile. You won't hear much from these other two horses until they're down the stretch.
Okay. Now, do you have maybe just on the side as just a one-shotter, who is your Mind That Bird Rich Strike? Is it Jace's Road? Is it King Russell? Is it Fulton's horse, Ray's Cane?
What a great name.
What are we thinking that if you had to pick a super dark horse, a reincarnate, who is it?
I guess if I was going to pick one of those, it would be Rocket Can, the 18 horse, which was close to Ray's Cane in the name. That might be the one that could surprise everybody. Although my Hit Show is not going to be that far, odds-wise from that. But the thing about Rocket, it's another closer. And hasn't run as much. Sometimes people think these horses, some of them run a little bit too much. They run too many races. Rocket Can, I believe, has only run 3 or 4 races, so he may be a fresher horse. And I believe his last race was back in February.
Wow.
And, so he hasn't run the last 3 or 4 weeks like a lot of these have. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's not. So how about Rocket Can as that one that perhaps comes out of nowhere?
All righty. My last 2 questions, 2 for the road. If you had any advice on anyone going to the Derby, what advice? First of all, they need to go to the Derby. It's amazing. It's so much fun. It's a bucket list thing. It really, really is.
It is.
What would you tell them? Give me the advice.
Well, I guess it depends on what you're looking for. If you're a youngster, you got to go to the infield. You have to.
Yep.
It may, from what I'm told, and I've never been there, but it makes the Indy 500 infield look like children's play. That's one place you got to go.
Yes.
You go into the infield. You actually go under the track and into that inside. You don't see much in terms of racing. You can't see much, but the party atmosphere is just unbelievable. So if you get an infield ticket, do that. That same ticket allows you to go to the paddock area, which is just mobbed. I mean, it's super crowded, but it's probably worth spending a little time there. Probably not on the Derby race itself because you won't get anywhere close to the horses, but maybe earlier in the day. If you've got some money and you want to buy a box seat or try to get up into Millionaires Row, I mean, those are good places too. I've never been able to get up there because I'm not a millionaire, but and box seats are pretty expensive. But I really think most people who come in from out of town, you buy the general admission ticket, you go to the infield, you can go to the backside, and you can go to the paddock area, and you just have a blast.
Yeah, that was so much fun. 2015, I went. Which, fun fact: anytime that I go to the Kentucky Derby, a Triple Crown winner occurs. So just pointing that out there.
Well, there you go.
The next time,
you said you had two questions. What was your other question?
My other question is: do you have a favorite Kentucky Derby?
Oh, absolutely.
Like what year? Like what was it? Was it the year Silver Charm outraced? Was it Cigar or something like that? I don't remember.
No, my favorite. I got to remember which year it was. It was either 78 or 79. I was at the Derby. This is a story, but you can see it, but you really got to look for it. I believe it was 79, and I think it was when Spectacular Bid won the Derby. I was 17 years old, and I was at the Kentucky Derby. I was in the infield. Back in those days, the infield was a little closer to the track than it is now because now they have that turf track on the inside. You could get closer to the actual dirt track. They had a huge fence, like a mesh, like a chain link fence. And I got right up to the chain link fence in time for the Derby. I was able to climb up it, got up about, 10, 15 feet off the ground. And I had bet on Spectacular Bid, and I was maybe an eighth of a mile from the finish line. So as he's coming around, Spectacular Bid is taking the lead. He ends up winning the race. I got so excited, I fell off the fence. If you look at the video, you can vaguely make out an individual up there. You can't tell who it is. You just know there's somebody there. That person was me.
All righty, Fulton, we are doing the Googles.
I got caught. I never hit the ground.
We are going to do the Googles, and we are going to check that out so we can see.
I don't know if you can see it because the horses are going by so fast, but you can kind of see like a shadow. And that shadow was a person. That was me. And I fell off the fence. I never hit the ground. I got caught. But,
we're going to the internet to figure this out.
Yeah, we're gonna figure. Andy, that is awesome, my friend. Thank you so much. We will talk to you here in 1 month for the Preakness. Always enjoy your insight on the horses. Andy, thank you so much. Enjoy the Oaks this afternoon here in about 2 hours, and enjoy the Derby tomorrow.
I sure will. I hope this one wins. If anybody bets it, let me know what you do for retirement.
That is the best. Andy Weingarten, he is the absolute best. I always enjoy talking with Andy on the Kentucky Derby. Fantastic stuff on our Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line. There you go.
Absolute pleasure.
Next year, if you or Brendan or Dan do not go to the Derby, I will be sad.
So, all right, here's the thing. I'm not against us going because I think it would be fun. It's a fun atmosphere. Gives me a reason to wear my fun suits. It does, because the Derby, you can dress ostentatiously and no one bats an eye. You're supposed to do that.
Correct.
Here's the thing. Timing is a bit of a pain.
Why? What's the point?
Like, well, okay. Like, all right, so the Derby's tomorrow.
Yes.
It's not a short drive to Kentucky.
It's only 7 hours.
It's not a short drive.
Oh, you can do that.
So you expect Brendan and Dan to want to leave here after the show on Friday night?
We can figure something out show-wise.
All right, hey, as long as you guys got the content covered.
Yeah.
I driving all the way to Kentucky in the morning would be a bit of a stretch. So you'd probably need to get down to Louisville, Friday night, and given when show times are.
Oh, yeah, we got to the Derby at like 9 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
No. Like, we stayed there we got there on Friday.
Yeah.
Stayed the night.
Yeah.
And then got up super early.
Yeah, to get to the track by like 9:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my point. That's why I'm like, we'd have to go down Friday night. And so I'm trying not to leave you hanging.
No, you got it.
But if you guys got it covered, I'll tell Brendan and Dan, we'll start shipping it together. And no, here's what we do. Brendan, Dan, and I leave extra early on Friday, and we just do 580 Sports Talk live from Louisville, Kentucky.
Cool, great. There you go. You get
I join you for Mic'd Up live from Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah, I got no problem with that.
We can technically do that.
It is so much fun. Mint juleps all around. They're not great, but the ones at the Derby do taste better. Like if you go make
love a good mint julep.
You like the mint julep?
Yeah.
Oh man, those are nasty. But at the Derby,
I got a buddy of mine who really enjoys mint julep, and he'll make his own. Like he has his own mint that he, grinds up to his all stuff the right way. It's very tasty when he's made it. Yeah. It's very tasty.
Simple syrup, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so julep's good.
I like his horses.
We got a rocket can reference on the air.
Rocket can. Derma
Further evidence that our generations are now horse owners.
Rocket can. The next year it needs to be like Manana or something like that.
I need someone to have Banana.
Yeah.
Oh man, if you don't know what we're talking about, the internet's your friend.
If you don't know what we're talking about, the most ridiculous. This is back when like College Humor was a website.
Yeah, now it's a streaming service.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. They have the Dropout streaming service. I watch multiple shows on it.
Well, there's a little fun. It's almost like a Key and Peele sketch.
Yeah, it's a sketch. It's a sketch comedy.
And it just Google Power Thirst.
Yes.
Power
Thirst energy drink commercials.
Yeah, Power Thirst energy drink.
It's worth your time. It's very funny.
Just
it's had me, Jake, and Brendan and Dan in stitches the past couple days. Because we saw Rocket Can being announced and immediately thought of that and had to watch it. Rocket Can.
They come in different flavors, like banana. Fantastic. Just Google it. Either you will think that if you Google Power Thirst and you click on there's the first one was so popular that they made a second one. If you think that's funny, or let me rephrase that. Hold on. You either will think it's so funny or it's the stupidest thing you've ever seen. There is no in between. You will either laugh hysterically or you will swear at me and Fulton for telling you to go to Google and watch on YouTube Power Thirst. There's no in between. It's either hysterical to you or you think it's the dumbest thing ever. There's no in between.
No, there's not.
No in between.
Not a single one.
I find it hysterical. Coming up next, got a little edition of On Second Thought here on Mic'd Up. On second thought, before we get to that though, we do have someone from the text line from the 316 that said, "Yeah, Power Thirst bit is lame," which I can totally see how you think it is lame. I showed my wife it. She goes, "That's just stupid." She goes, "That's such boy humor," is what she said.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, and I agree with it. Like, I can see how someone says that, yeah, that's super lame. I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah. Not everyone has to have the same humor.
Yeah.
We can all laugh at different things.
But
I personally find Power Thirst hilarious.
So funny.
Oh, dying of laughter.
So funny.
Like, I do not judge any of you out there that watch this on a recommendation and want to hurt Jake or I for giving you that recommendation
totally
and wasting like 5 minutes of your life.
Yeah. They might not even got through it. They might have started out with Power Thirst.
Power Thirst.
Then you're
Man,
like,
I wish we could play that whole commercial over the air.
Yeah, we definitely can't.
Oh, we 100% can. Oh, not at all.
No. All right, Fulton, what do you got? What would you like to have your mulligan and your do-over for this week?
I got to stop thinking Jordan Lyles can give me 6 innings and 4 runs.
No.
I finished yesterday's show saying, Jordan Lyles, just give me that. You can do it. I'm wrong. He's so bad. Again, if anyone's going to be getting destroyed and their arm falling off and throwing 120 pitches, I'm glad it's Jordan Lyles. But there's some bad innings being thrown by that man. And I will no longer believe he can give me 6 innings, 4 runs until he does it again. For now, I believe he can give me 5 innings and 8 runs, which chuck those up as L's every time.
I'm going to go on the baseball side as well. I bet against the Royals. That's what I do right now because they
can't do
it. Except I was wrong on you, Zach Greinke. I thought that it's been a while since you were at the K, and you got to start at the K. But, man, I was wrong there. Zach Greinke at the K was excellent.
Different pitcher.
I don't know what it is. Is it the water at the K? I have no idea. But Zach Greinke at the K, he was excellent. And I wish I wouldn't have bet the Royals on that day. But Zach Greinke, that might be the best 44 pitch outing of the year.
Yeah. First pitcher to win a start on 44 pitches or less since Greg Maddux. Because,
Greg Maddux.
Because, Greg Maddux, the inventor of finishing a baseball game in the fewest amount of pitches. We literally call a sub 100 pitch complete game a Maddux.
Wait a minute. So Maddux threw less than 44 or threw 44 pitches and got the win. Why did he only throw 44?
It was on the tail end of him being bad. Like, it was the twilight part of his career. Dan and I looked this up. Like, we looked up we found the game.
What
he got pinch hit for in a rally of an inning that they were getting a lot of runs in. Because, National League.
Yeah.
He just got pinch hit for.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
So, that's why he only threw 43 in 5 innings. It's just they were in the middle of the big inning. They didn't want Maddux. He threw 43 and got the win. He threw 43 pitches in 5 innings and got the win.
Because Greinke threw 44 pitches in 5 innings. Like, he was crazy efficient.
Yeah, he was. And as I said yesterday, still completely agree with the decision. It was the right call.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't affect the Royals at all in the future.
With Zach, and Contreras spoke about this yesterday. They have 16 games in 16 straight days is what they're in the middle of. That's what they're in the middle of.
Yeah.
Zach Greinke, I remember learning about this last year. Zach said, if he throws 80 to 85, he'll be fully good to go his next turn. When he gets to 90, the arm doesn't have the rebound it used to. So anytime you can get Zach Greinke specifically extra rest, you need to do it. Because he just can't do it.
The next off day for the Royals is the 18th.
Yeah, they're about to play a lot of games in a row. And so, if the idea is I have a chance to let Zach go 5 innings, get a win, only throw 44 pitches, and we can be set up to be good, I'm down with it because now he'll be fully fresh that next time through the rotation.
Which will be at home.
Yeah, he'll make one of the White Sox starts.
Yeah. So, they're going to win that one.
Like, as far as managing the player specifically, that was a really smart move. I know there were a lot of people who, compared it to, well, then why did Lyles keep getting thrown out there when he was done or blah, blah.
Because no one cares about Lyles.
Well, it's because Lyles is here to do literally one thing, and it is pitch innings. Even if they're bad innings, he is here to pitch innings.
He's like a mercenary.
Yeah, kind of.
No, he is. And
that's why, Jordan Lyles is never going to get pulled early because the job of Jordan Lyles is to eat as many innings as humanly possible in a given start.
We're going to talk some Royals from the text line. Thankfully, I was working simultaneously, so I didn't completely waste my life watching.
There you go. We got you out of 5 minutes of work.
Oh, they definitely didn't make it through the entire video. No way.
They might have just heard Power Thirst and we're done.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? Fair.
Yeah. Coming up next, some Royals news happening, and it's actually smart. How about that? Maybe they're listening to the show. We'll get to that coming up next. Some fun over the weekend. Fulton, before we get to the news of the Royals today.
Yeah.
Attendance.
Yeah.
You were wrong.
I was.
That could have been your on second thought.
That could have been, but no. Because I don't believe that announced attendance was correct.
Well, we got to go with what they report.
I know we have to trust them, but I never do.
I was one of them. Went to the game yesterday. Fantastic time. That was good. Not a lot of people there.
Nope.
They get an average of 17. I think they get 17,000 on average.
Maybe. It's a good cue.
The last home game that they had was against the Rangers and Atlanta. And here were their attendance numbers in those. Okay. 10,000, 12,000, 11,000. That was on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Technically, they did worse this last series against Baltimore because they went 11, 10, and 10 during the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday series.
Mm.
And against the Rangers, they went 11, 12, and 10. So they had more there. Now, against Atlanta, they went 20, 17, 20.
Mm.
Or 22 on Sunday. Why did they have 22 on a Sunday?
Mm.
That's kind of wild.
Want to show up?
The other weekend series on Saturday, Sunday, they got 16 and 14. That was the first series of the year.
Yeah.
So the weather's going to be good.
Yep. There will be a very big crowd on Saturday. There will be a very large crowd on Saturday.
Because of Low Cane ceremony?
Yep.
Okay.
I believe it's already been announced that over 26,000 tickets have been sold for Saturday.
Okay.
There will be a big crowd for that entirely. And the Royals intelligently are making that ceremony right before first pitch. Like that baby runs right up to first pitch.
Yeah, Ned Yost is going to be there.
Yep.
For Lorenzo Cain.
Alex Gordon will be in town.
Yep.
Salvador Perez in some ways going to be a part of it. Which is not surprising with Salvi and Low Cane's friendship.
Low Cane will not allow it, but they need Salvi to splash Low Cane.
That would be really fun. I'm just wondering how quickly Sal will pick up Low Cane in a gigantic hug. Us do love each other, man. It's great to see. So, no, it'll be a very big crowd on Saturday, and I think today and Sunday
they get 17.
They might get 17 on Sunday. It'll be a beautiful day.
They got 27
Sunday afternoon
20 against the Braves, but the Braves are good.
Yeah,
like the Braves
that's
are
the problem.
national.
This is the two worst teams in baseball.
You know. So what do they get 17?
I think maybe on Sunday.
Maybe on Sunday.
Maybe
tonight.
No
on a
tonight.
Friday.
Maybe 12
on a Friday.
These are two bad teams. And I think
Brad Keller is starting.
I think the attendance for the Royals might start trickling a tiny bit up because the young guys are fun to watch. But man, these are two bad teams. Oakland ain't good.
I think they get over 17 tonight.
That'd be awesome.
I don't think they do on Sunday.
If they get 17 one of these 2 days that are not Lorenzo Cain days, I will be impressed.
It's a good thing they're not at home next weekend. Because that's like graduation weekend. They get nobody there.
Yeah, next weekend they head out to Milwaukee.
Yes. Yeah.
Milwaukee face the Brewers.
Alrighty, news today.
Yeah.
Royals making some moves.
Yeah, we do got some roster moves. Kyle Isbell is headed to the 10-day injured list with a left hamstring strain. That's a bummer because he really was starting to swing the bat well. In that direct corresponding move, Nate Eaton has been recalled from Omaha, who hopefully he was hitting the bat well in 6 games at AAA. Hopefully that carries over. I personally, though, will not hold my breath. So I hope I'm wrong.
Well, Nate Eaton was the guy who was struck out every time he gets up to the plate, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was worse than Michael Massey about it. And then in a strange move that I'm starting to come around on, Austin Cox has been optioned to Omaha. That move was officially done on the post game on May 4th. So for numbering purposes on days sent in the minors, they needed to make that distinction. And Jonathan Heasley has been recalled from AAA.
Formerly your boy.
That baffles me. But as I've thought more about it, I think maybe the idea is to get Cox some more run as a starter. They needed him just for a little bit of bullpen length. I have to imagine Jonathan Heasley starting on Sunday. I don't imagine they're bringing up Heasley to be a reliever. However, maybe him and Yarbrough piggyback together for Sunday. I don't know. It's not great. I can't lie. That one, not great. I got nothing. I truly don't. I mean, the idea might be they just need arms right now because they're a little taxed, partially because their starters cannot give them length, which I know for some people is the criticism of the Greinke thing. Their thought process was Lyles could have given them more on the next day. Like, whether it is correct to think that or not, that was their thought process as well, and it backfired. So I don't know what the whole idea is. If it works, it works. I'm not going to hold my breath for a Jonathan Heasley start to go well because he was getting shellacked in AAA. But yeah, those are the 2 roster moves the Royals have made today. I have to assume they want Austin Cox to get more run as a starter, restretched back out, and they might bring him up again. Heasley might be the guy that I think, this is my overall thought process of the fact that Lynch is going to take that 5th starter spot when he's healthy. I think Heasley might be if we're just going to have to throw a guy there to get hit around and it not be Yarbrough, I think they're like, put John there. Like, let him get whacked around a little bit. It is what it is.
Nate Eaton.
Yeah.
25 at bats.
Wasn't great because there's 20 strikeouts?
13 strikeouts.
Oh, only 13. Given my joke of 20, that's where the only 13 comes in. It's still not good. He struggled on half his bats. Well, over half by 13 of 25 by
over half.
Yeah.
How many hits does he have this year?
1.
He has 1.
My entire thing when he got set down last time is I said he needed a reset. Like, he was pressing. He didn't look locked in. He looked all sorts of confused at the plate. He needed a reset. He goes down. He hits well at Omaha. Yes, it's just 6 games. But what I think is going to help him is he needed a reset. Now, that does not mean I think he's going to come up and all of a sudden start hitting like Nick Pratto was. Not at all. But if the Royals need an outfielder right now to be the 4th outfielder, Nate Eaton's your guy. Like, everyone can make the comments they want about him. People can say what they want to say about Samad Taylor, because I know that is going to make some people think. The fact of the matter is, Samad Taylor can play 1 outfield spot. He can play center. And yes, technically,
he can play.
Technically, you need a center fielder right now. Technically, you do. They want Samad to get more run, because you got to remember, everyone, for Samad Taylor, and because I've heard a lot of this, he basically didn't play for the Royals in the minor leagues last year because he was hurt. When the Royals acquired him in the Whit Merrifield trade, he was hurt. They got to see him in fall ball last year and spring training this year. Whether you like it or you don't, a club needs more than a month of seeing a guy before they bring him to the majors. So Samad Taylor is not going to be that guy. Nate Eaton got plenty of run last year. They know at worst, Nate Eaton can play a major league ready defensive outfield at all 3 spots. And the bat is what the bat is, and they probably think the bat will be better than the first go around. But if you need a guy we can comfortably put out there in the outfield and not really question it, Nate Eaton's the pick. Like, it is what it is. The reason Samad Taylor isn't up is because they've barely seen him play.
And Samad Taylor, whatever, doesn't really matter. Not going to
Don't say that to certain parts of Royals Twitter.
That's all right. They
think Samad Taylor's the next Carlos Beltran.
No, they can deal with it. The only guy that I would like to see in the lineup, is the lineup out yet?
Yes, it is. It is officially out.
is Michael Garcia there?
Yes.
That's all that matters.
Yep. Your lineup real quick. MJ Melendez in right leading off. Edward Olivares in left will bat second. Vinny Pasquantino is your DH. He will bat third. Salvador Perez catching, batting cleanup. Nick Prado at first, batting fifth. Matt Duffy is your second baseman, batting sixth. Hunter Dozier is at third base, batting seventh. Jackie Bradley Jr. is your center fielder, batting eighth. And Michael Garcia is your shortstop, batting ninth.
No Bobby Witt.
This is, as I noticed, the second time he's not been in the starting lineup this year. He has not had a full day off all year outside of these scheduled off days. Like, I get it. He's 22. We can make all those comments. Off days are still helpful no matter your age. Like, he has not had an actual day off from a game being played all year. Because his one other time he was in the starting lineup, he was a pinch hitter. He's not had a full day off all year.
That's a day off. If you only go out there for
No,
one
I
day,
agree. So
that's
he's
a day
had
off.
one, then at that point too, because I agree with you, he's had one day off outside of scheduled off days, which they've had two.
I'd like to see him play today, and the reason why is he had a good day yesterday.
He
I want to
did.
see him
Yeah,
piggyback.
I know, I get that, but I'm not going to complain about them saying, Bobby, get a rest on your legs. Like, and I get it. No one's happy that Dozier and Jackie Bradley Jr. are in this lineup. Trust me, I'm not. The problem is, folks, you're either getting Jackie Bradley Jr. and Nate Eaton in the lineup every day for the next 10 days. Accept which one you want. Honestly, I want Nate Eaton because he's the younger player.
Correct.
But honestly, that one is what it is. And Hunter Dozier's playing because Bobby's getting a day off. We can live with this. We truly can.
Well,
It will not kill us for one day.
I don't like it.
That- Give Bobby a day off.
Well, then put somebody.
Jake, with if Nicky Lopez was healthy, Hunter wouldn't be playing right now.
Put in.
Tell Nicky to not have appendicitis.
No, that sucks.
Like,
I hope he's
given
okay.
the roster makeup because of everything else,
Hey.
this is what it is.
I can still be upset.
I know you can be. I know.
I'm
I don't like it either. Trust me. I'm not going to be excited to watch Hunter Dozier have to take at-bats tonight either. I'm going to hate every minute of that.
Let's move on from this era.
I don't disagree.
Coming up next, we'll wrap things up with the mic drop. Phone, what do you got?
Very simple, real quick. Brad Kaler, please learn what a strike is tonight. That'd be really fun.
Enjoy the weekend. Locaine getting retired. That's awesome. Good for him signing a one-day contract with the Royals. He was my favorite Royal during that stretch. And I'm looking forward to my son's birthday party this weekend.
That should be fun. Happy birthday to him again.
We'll talk to you guys on Monday. Have a good one.